From a troubled childhood in America's forgotten towns to the halls of power in Washington, J.D. Vance's story is one of struggle, survival, and shocking transformation. Poverty, family chaos, war, and ambition shaped a man who would rise from nothing to become one of the most talked-about political voices in America. This is not just a biography. It's a journey through the realities behind the American dream. James David Vance, widely known as J.D. Vance, was born on August 2, 1984, in Middletown, Ohio, a city emblematic of America's industrial rise and decline, and his life story is inseparable from the struggles of the white working-class communities of the Rust Belt, where economic instability, cultural dislocation, and generational hardship shaped the realities of countless families, including his own, raised primarily by his grandparents in a turbulent household marked by his mother's battle with drug addiction and a revolving presence of father figures. Vance's early life was defined by instability, uncertainty, and exposure to the darker edges of socioeconomic struggle. Yet it was also grounded in the fierce love and discipline of his grandmother, whom he affectionately called Mama, a woman whose tough guidance and unwavering belief in him would become one of the defining forces in his life. Growing up in an environment where violence, financial stress, and emotional volatility were common, he witnessed firsthand the effects of poverty and addiction, experiences that would later inform both his worldview and his writing, particularly his best-selling memoir Hillbilly, Elegy, which offered a deeply personal and often controversial exploration of the cultural and economic struggles facing working-class Americans. Despite the chaos of his upbringing, Vance demonstrated academic potential, though his path was far from straightforward, as he struggled with discipline and direction during his teenage years, reflecting the broader sense of aimlessness that can accompany systemic hardship. Yet a turning point came when he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, a decision that introduced structure, purpose, and a new perspective into his life, and during his service, including a deployment to Iraq, he developed a sense of responsibility and resilience that would later become central to his identity. After completing his military service, he pursued higher education with remarkable determination, attending Ohio State University and later earning a law degree from Yale Law School, one of the most prestigious institutions in the world, a transition that symbolized a dramatic shift from his working-class roots to elite academic and professional circles. And at Yale, he encountered a cultural divide that would deeply influence his thinking, as he navigated the expectations and norms of an environment far removed from the world he grew up in, forming relationships and gaining insights that would shape his future career in law, business, and eventually politics. Following his graduation, Vance worked in venture capital, gaining experience in the world of finance and entrepreneurship, while also beginning to articulate his views on the challenges facing America's working class, culminating in the publication of Hillbilly, Elegy in 2016, which became a national bestseller and brought him widespread recognition, particularly during a period of intense political polarization in the United States, as the book was often cited as a lens through which to understand the social and economic forces that contributed to the rise of populist movements, including the election of Donald Trump, though Vance himself initially positioned himself as a critic of Trump, expressing skepticism about his leadership and rhetoric, a stance that would later evolve in complex and widely discussed ways as Vance's own political ambitions developed. As his public profile grew, he became an influential voice in discussions about class, culture, and the American dream, though his perspectives were not without controversy, as critics argued that his interpretations sometimes oversimplified or unfairly characterized the communities he described, while supporters praised his willingness to confront difficult truths and share an unfiltered account of his experiences. And this duality of being both a product of and a commentator on his background became a central feature of his identity. Over time, Vance's focus shifted increasingly toward politics, and he aligned himself more closely with conservative and populist ideologies, ultimately deciding to run for the United States Senate from Ohio, a campaign that reflected both his personal narrative and his political evolution. And with the endorsement of Donald Trump, he secured the Republican nomination and went on to win the general election, becoming a U.S. Senator and solidifying his place within the national political landscape. In his role as a senator, Vance has advocated for policies centered on economic revitalization, national identity, and a re-examination of America's global role, often emphasizing the need to address the concerns of working-class Americans who feel left behind by globalization and technological change. And his rhetoric frequently reflects the themes that defined his early life and writing, including the importance of family stability, community cohesion, and cultural values. Though his positions have also sparked debate and criticism, particularly regarding issues such as immigration, foreign policy, and social policy, highlighting the complex and often polarizing nature of contemporary American politics. Beyond his policy positions, Vance's personal story continues to resonate as a narrative of upward mobility and transformation, illustrating both the possibilities and the challenges inherent in the American dream as he navigates the expectations of his constituents, the demands of political life, and the ongoing scrutiny that comes with public office, all while remaining a figure whose life story is closely tied to broader national conversations about identity, inequality, and opportunity. His journey from a troubled childhood in Middletown to the corridors of power in Washington is not merely a tale of individual success but a reflection of the structural forces and cultural dynamics that shape lives across the United States. And as he continues his career, J.D. Vance remains a figure whose influence extends beyond politics into the realms of culture, media, and public discourse, embodying both the promise and the tensions of a society grappling with rapid change and deep divisions. And whether viewed as a symbol of resilience, a controversial commentator, or a political leader, his story continues to evolve, offering insight into the complexities of modern America and the enduring question of what it means to rise, to belong, and to lead in a nation defined by both opportunity and struggle.